Welcome back to the Clay Studio. I'm Gomati Sivasankaran and we are working on this tutorial that is about Santhana Lakshmi. It's one of the 8 forms of Lakshmi avatars that are known for all the positive propensities of life, and this one is particularly the goddess of progeny, yeah? The goddess that gives you the wealth of children and family and friends and such. We have been working on this image since the start of this session. We started with the layer 1, which is the wash, and the layer 2 was blocking and filling. Only after we had done the execution of the idea, planning and execution of the idea with the help of grid lines. Moment we were done with that, we were ready to do the layer 3. Layer 3 was giving us a bit of what is dark versus what is light, slightly enhancing the details. A little more into the details is what is coming up, and what exactly we are doing right now with layer 4, and that's where we have been working really into intricate details and a lot of shading and depth. With respect to the images, we have worked on the images of the girl, that is Santhana Lakshmi here, and the baby girl also. So it was a tedious session, and we split it into a couple of classes so that we get it right and we do a good focus on both the characters. Now that we are done with the skin tones and the way they look to a certain extent, we can now focus on their clothing and how they appear and such. So there's a lot of things that we can now work on. Today we'll start with the baby girl's clothing first, and then we'll move up to Santhana Lakshmi's clothing and all the elements that she has in her hand, and then we'll move down to the lotus flower as well as we finish today's session, and then the next session will be focusing on jewelry. So right now I'm going to do a couple of things. The lighting is taken care of. And yes, I am now going to pick up some brushes. I think you would have seen that I'm using only the smaller of the brushes, the ones that are 0, 0 and 1, and possibly micro brushes, isn't it? So I'm going to have them all ready with me. I guess that is more than enough for the initial work that we are doing. Just gonna pick a few more of those tinier ones. Okay, fine. I guess I have all that I need in terms of brushes. The paint, the baby girl's shirt that we had was a silky white color, and I think I will keep to that idea of having this silky white color. And one thing I wanted to adjust was the way her body was put up. I think it's not so clear, and I want to be sure of that, and trying to see if I could show something in terms of adjusting her shoulder line, and then the clothing that might come up, or maybe something else, I don't know. I just want to adjust that somehow. So I'm going to have, practically speaking, I think I want to see both the clothing done simultaneously, because the adjustment also happens somewhere near the baby girl's face. So I also want to have this yellow ready for work, and then the white as well. So I will take titanium white, have it ready. I know that we need to mellow it down. We don't want the white to be totally bright, because it doesn't just give us the idea of a silky white if we choose to do that. So I'm going to take that, and also get ready with a little bit of primary yellow as well. Primary yellow, I keep saying primary yellow all the time. It's, yeah, for me, I think I have permanent yellow, but most of it is so similar. It's very close. The tonalities are. Okay, so I have both of them ready on my canvas. Sorry, on my palette, and I'm going to get started with the white. Like I said, I want this to be slightly downtoned, so I'm just looking for if I have anything wet in my palette to use, even the skin color, whatever I had used for the previous session. Okay, a tiny bit will do to mellow down the white. I don't want it to look perfect whitey, so I'm just looking for another slight tonality. It's not that it's going to take over, change the color, so very lightly shifting the color tone from that pure titanium white that it is, and adding a tiny bit of oil, linseed oil. So I think I'm ready. So the way I wanted to adjust her shoulder was to show like this. So that's exactly where the shoulder line is going to be. We will not see much of her clothing or much of her body, because she's hiding inside the flower. So this is essentially going to be the space that we will work on. So maybe I would like to give a kind of a, the puff kind of a thing in the frock that they wear, the children wear, to just give an angle there, because it's really very less of space, and I want to use that to show that it's a baby girl there. Just trying to see. This is something that I'm imagining. I didn't see it there in the picture though. I'm just creating one here to give an effect of the puff in the shoulder, or the clothing that she is wearing. Yeah, so I'm trying to give that, and I'll have to just push it slightly up a bit so you could see better. So that's essentially what I've done, because right beneath is the petal, and we need to show the petal also folding in somewhere, to show that she's peeping out of the flower. So we'll have to really work on this flower as well, So these are parts of imagination because it's not there in the picture. The way the references show is different, and we have chosen to take in another um, angle to this. So it's our choice, so we'll have to stick to it, and we try to build the storyline accordingly. Yeah. So I've kept this. This is done. This is kind of ready now. We'll sit with the detailing in a while. But just before that, let's take another brush. So what I had was this flat brush number 1 that I used for for the baby girl, and now I'm going to use another brush for Santhana Lakshmi herself. Yeah. Okay, good. So I'm gonna move to another brush now. I have brush number 1 round, and I'm going to stick to using the permanent yellow directly first to see where things are and what I want to do. In terms of her shoulder blade and the way she is, her demeanor is, I don't see any adjustment. I think this is exactly where the adjustment needs to be done, where the child is. So I'm just going to go fill that in nicely. Without adding any other color right now. I'm just filling in the way we did filling in our earlier sessions. Just filling in, brightening up the storyline, brightening up the okay, I think we had done, I had done an adjustment here in the hip line a bit. I'll keep to it when I work on the background. Also, we need to work on the background. In my case, I can see that it's quite dull. Somehow it is quite dull, and also it had not other colors mixed as well. So we might have to rework on it. I don't know. Let's see. With the jewelry, we will be working on the jewelry in detail in the next session. I'm going to just go over this and fill the color. I haven't decided on the jewelry, but what I can tell you right now is that we are going to pick up jewelry from the country, representing the country that she is from, for this girl. I think it's an Australian girl. So I'm going to have some Australian traditional jewelry. I have selected some of them. I haven't finalized on whether that's the one or other ones that I will use. But in the next session, you will see that I have added it to the reference when I'm getting started. So I filled that in now. She's looking bright yellow, good. And now I wanted to do a few other things as well here. Okay, this needs white. We'll work on it. I didn't want this headgear of hers to go so big as well for this baby girl, and the crown. I was trying to adjust it, but I think it will be a tough journey now. We will decide on that when we come to the jewelry then, yeah. So I'm just filling in other sections nicely, filling in first, and then we'll work on the shades. And over here, when I come to this space, this is exactly where the adjustments also have to go, because this is a part of her body that has to show here, and then her leg possibly we will do the adjustment. So now the colors are there, then it is easier for me to see as well. So filling that in is the easier job, but the moment we come to doing the shading, and so then it gets a little exciting, rather. So I have filled in, and now it I think the correction holds good, This is exactly what I wanted. The body shape of the baby girl wasn't looking apt somehow in the previous one. Now that the color is knocking the space out, that is fine. It looks fine now, yeah. And now we can work on the details of or the shading details of her clothing. So I'm looking for a bit of I want a slight bit of crimson, a touch of not crimson. I'm taking a bit of vermilion, a touch of vermilion, okay, to go over those contours ever so lightly. I don't want too much of it. It's the same brush. I'm just doing the contours ever so lightly. And giving those, we want to show those frills in the skirt. So I'm just also doing that ever so lightly. You will get to see that shade in a short while. It's just thin lines that I'm doing now. I'll just start shading it. I don't want it to start looking orangey, yeah, at all. So I'm just being very careful. Ever so lightly I've added the color tones there. So only in the tip of my brush I have done that, and I have kind of shaded the sides, and also I'm shading the shoulder blades slightly. That's where the darkness could appear, very lightly, taking it down to that shoulder and the arm where you don't want it to see, you don't want it to be visible totally, so you just want it to be out there, and ever so lightly blending it in a way that it shows as it's really slightly a darker yellow and not an orange. So just be careful with it. So I'm adding a little more of yellow to blend things together here. This one as well works well. And now the frills of the skirt. So I'm just going over, I'm going to do this again. So I'm going underneath that belt and highlighting that section, and I'm pulling up some curvy lines to enhance and show that it's frills of the skirt. Now I will take a bit more of that yellow to blend that in, because I don't want it to show so sharp. Yes. Some more yellow, and I'm going to do this also to show where the leg is folded. Now for the lighter tone, for the lighter tone, I'm gonna take a bit of titanium white, and I'm just gonna throw in some highlights. So we are actually blending live in the canvas, on the canvas, bringing in those highlights nicely. I want to make this even more lighter because the way the shade is falling is also showing that that's exactly where the light is coming from. That's exactly where the light is coming from. So I'm just doing that and adding a tiny bit of titanium white everywhere to give that, slight silky smooth effect, shine there, not too much but ever so lightly, lightening it up and brightening things up. Good. So I guess this clothing seems fine. I do not see much of a change is needed here. Maybe a bit of we want to go here underneath the armpit to show that shine there. That is cool. So this is fine. I really want this yellow to be slightly different from the one that I had used for another picture, so I'm just trying to see. Okay. Yeah, this is fine, and I'm going to now work on the clothing of the baby girl. Even though it's really tiny spaces, we haven't much to play around with. I think we will have to really work on it as well. I will rely on a bit of burnt umber to draw thin lines there. Yeah, first of all to give that shade of her cheek falling on the dress. So a tiny bit of burnt umber, and then I'm just giving that contour or a good burnt umber is good. If you want to give crimson and give her a pinky white shade, that's also fine. It's really up to you. You play around with it. I'm just giving that shoulder line an angle there, and then I'm going to give that puff that I created the same kind of, the waves that we create when the hand has that, so I've just done that, adding a bit of white again to mellow down that shade. Yeah, this looks fine. Yeah, I think this looks fine. Okay, now the focus should shift to the there are so many things out here, isn't it? So we have to shift the focus out to these things that she has. Let's come back to that logic of what are all the things that she has. She's got the shield, and she's got these kalash or vessels in her hand. So those are gold, and for me it is very easy to say, yeah, I have yellow with me. I'm going to add a tiny bit of yellow ochre to it, and give that a lighter golden shade, and get started with filling them in first the way we filled in previously. Let's fill this in and then we'll work on some detailing shortly. That was the colors. I'm not going to work on the jewelry, like I said, there's going to be a lot of work there involved. This sword will be a metallic effect, so we'll use gray, so I'm not going to fill that in as well. So only filled in these two vessels in her hand and the shield. And now I take a bit of burnt umber again to give that circle in the shield a highlight. That's how the shield is, isn't it? Yeah. The shield has some shades as well, so I'm going to rely on white, just blending it in some of those places to give that shine. Yeah. It works. Darkening it in the middle. I think that's a fine one for now. And for the colors also we could use a little bit of white to lighten it up and give that shade in some of those locations. Good. And now for the darker shades on them, I'm going to rely on a micro brush or a zero brush would do for a direct, burnt umber. Maybe I will mix a tad bit of ivory black to that to have it ready. I think I'm ready with this tone, burnt umber ivory black combination, to give that ever so light, shading there, details there. Also on the colors, I want to give that right underneath, and ever so lightly blending that in also in some places where there is darkness. Yeah, I think I can blend that in now. So I'm going to use my the earlier brush that I had to blend that in, because it's so sharp now the color is, so just want to blend that in. Okay, the color seems all good. What is remaining is the coconut, relying on burnt umber to give one more shade of darkness there in the coconut. We'll need to give some detailing on the coconut that we'll do in a short while. Just fill it in with burnt umber. To give that shading, I'm going to rely on the zero brush take ivory black, start giving slight bit of shades there, because the coconut is never a soft element, so I'm just getting like tiny bit of shades there and adding a tiny bit of titanium white to give highlights also there. So it's just a game of giving those black and white spots there to make them look slightly enhanced and look slightly rugged, and that's exactly the nature also of these fruits. Yeah. And now we go for another brush. I think I have a brush number 0. Go for that with olive green to give that shading on those leaves. There's usually 5 leaves to be kept, I think. Just gonna add in one more falling out like this. It's either 3 or 5 if I remember correctly. Do not ask me why. Certain things yeah. It's supposed to be an odd digit number or something, and that's how we keep it right in the mouth of the kalash. We call it a kalash. That's the vessel that's holding water, and and we keep it really, we energize it's kind of used to energize that water with positive energy, when we keep those kalash. And what all goes inside that kalash is possibly a little bit of rice and a little bit of turmeric and kumkum, sandal, and such. Sometimes you keep coins or gold or jewelry also inside. Then pour water in it, and then we place these 5 leaves, and on top of it comes the coconut, and that's how the kalash, in a simplified form, is kept for prayer purposes. And that is really a lot of positive energy that the kalash brings. And the water is then, either you can use the water after the prayer, whatever you do, you use the water for prayer that you used inside this kalash for prayer, to also to water the plants, or water the you can use the water for your cooking also. It's so positive in that manner, so it's really, both are a good idea. That's exactly what I do essentially when I do this kalash. I've also learned how to do this, how to keep this for, and what it is for. Okay, so there goes the kalash work done. Now let's focus on the sword. The sword is to be gray colored, so I'm just taking ivory black to mix in with the white to make it gray, and I'm just gonna fill this in first, and then let's add thicker shades also on them. That's the gray, and I'm going to take some more of ivory black to give a sharper tonality here on the, we don't want the sword to be blunt. So there you go with that. has a sharp sword there. Shading down. We want the lighter shades. I'm adding a little bit of titanium white to give a shimmer on the sword. Are we done? Okay, that looks really kick-ass cool. Yeah, good. So we've taken care of the sword, we've taken care of the shield and the kalash. Then the focus now shifts to the flower. Let's do the flower, and that's exactly where the challenge is, because we need to really work on the idea of where the lotus flower has to fold and such. I'm going to rely on a bit of white first to plan where the flower is going to be, folded and such. That's the most difficult one. Let's do that. So I'm just thinking, so this is where this petal is folded, this petal is folded. This petal also needs to be folded out a bit, because she's really peeping out, eh? Okay. So I just wanted that angle to be there, and yeah, this is exactly what I wanted in terms of angle. The other petals can survive. So I'm now okay with the angle, so I need crimson. And let's look at the logic of the flowers, the way this is again a graphic flower from the reference, but in reality I also want the logic to be, there is shine here on the top or the petals of the tip of the petals, and then where it goes down it's darker. That's exactly what I want, and I think I'm okay with that idea. So I'm going to take crimson. I need a little more of crimson. See how we are doing with the time. We are doing fine with the time. Okay. So I'm going to take crimson first and start playing out the, the contours of the flower. So this is exactly the contour of the flower, and the way the angle of the flower is. I'm just looking at it from my side as well, if I have done any mistakes, because usually the thing is, since I'm sitting towards the right side of the canvas, I tend to do some errors on the left side of the canvas. I'm just checking. This happens. So I'm just doing the contours one more time. This is where the angle is different. Doing the contours. This was the adjusted angle, just trying that out, leaving it in, and this angle is fine, and it gets darker also in the sides. That is fine. Petals behind, I'm drawing the contours first. I think it's all fine. Kind of survived the idea. I somehow did not feel that the placing was right. From the beginning I've been looking at should I realign or whatever. But I think now it kind of sits. Hope you also agree with me. Yeah. And you let me know how this experiment has come out. This is, if you have selected this one out of the 8 pictures that I have made, then I would say that you have really chosen a challenging work, because in other cases we are kind of following the reference material, so it's not copy though, but it is slightly less challenging than this one, because we have really pushed the limits of our imagination here and try to give it a balance there. So yeah, kudos to you. Let me know how you're doing, and if you're finding it very challenging struck, do write to me. Let's talk and discuss and see how we can help each other out in this game. This is one of the 8, one of the toughest that I've also done. It's not because it's difficult to draw children or something, but it's just that we want to keep the logic of Santhana Lakshmi intact, while we also make sure that we do not give a wrong message of young girls becoming mothers or such. So I hope it doesn't invoke any such thoughts. So I'm just filling crimson from the bottom of the petal and going about doing it. I will use titanium white to blend in. As you see that more and more you see me using the canvas itself as a palette, and this is typically my style. I totally appreciate the ones who prefer to have every color ready, every tonality ready on the palette and then working on it. That's a perfect working method, even more structured. I totally appreciate it, but this is just on the go for me. I like it this way because I get to think spontaneously and try to adapt to the way things are. Because if I tend to get boggled down by, okay, I want to use this color because I created it here, versus I try to think on, okay, does this color do justice to what I'm trying to say here or no? So that's essentially the trick that I have. Yeah. All right, so let's work on the next level of challenge. Okay, before that I'm just gonna work on moving this slightly down so you could see a little more on yeah, I think now the focus is only on the lotus flower for you, so you could see what I'm doing here on the bottom petals as well. The same way, I'm just going around, leaving out shades, leaving out colors, darkening them here a little more. I'll use also ivory black in the final one once we are done with the white. So that's essentially what I have. One more petal here. Cool. And now for titanium white. So I'm going to take white and start flowing it in the opposite direction now. The same brush, use it for the sides first because it's got a lot of crimson. While I bring down the crimson range. So this looks fine on the sides. And I'm going to do the same thing to the petals underneath. And I'm actually not taking too much of oil at all. In fact, I have not taken it for a while now. I'm just thriving on whatever I have left in my brush and using the colors directly. That's essentially what I try to do, because the fifth layer is when I try to use the final layer, is when I try to use a little more of the oil. Now I think I need another brush, but I just need a typical lighter tonality coming here, and I need this darker tonality to be shining out here, and tips of that flower. So I'm going to take another fresh brush because it's got too much paint now. Going for titanium white and adding it directly here to lighten up the storyline. And blending that in. I want those strokes to be visible. This is something, this is my choice. If you want to blend it, do it even smooth, it's your choice. In the next layer anyways, it gets even more smoothened, so I try to leave it slightly rough here. I want this to be on the cool. Slight bit of smoothing I try to do, but then I want to leave those strokes kind of there. Okay, I guess I have this strokes done, and now I am ready for a slightly darker shade. The lighter shade needs to be here also in the lower ends of the petals, so I'm just gonna give a slight finesse here. Okay, cool. Leaving it there. I'm gonna now take a bit of ivory black. Now I poke ivory black directly on the contour exactly where the petals are beginning to use that effectively there to show darker shades. So I'm going to now pull that black over to the petals. Now I'm just careful, I try to use more of black on the sides to give that shine or give the effect of shadow, and also give the effect of darkness there in the sides. When it comes to the center, I try to use less of it, and it goes both ways, both directions, the petals that are really beneath and also the petals that are coming up, and also a little bit on the petal that is creating that our little one is poking her face into. Yeah, there is this darkness falling, the shade falling, the shadow falling because of what she's doing. So I'm trying to show that. Yeah, I guess we are nearly there with that kind of marking, and now I want to blend that in as well. So blending it in ever so lightly, velvety, so the black really gets velvety the moment you mix it with this crimson, so it's a beautiful color then. But be very careful, you don't want to use too much of it. Okay, I guess I have the shades that I wanted. I want a slight bit of, just want to play around, add a little more of darkness here, around that spacing to give that effect, and then yeah, cool. I guess for now this looks fine with the flower. I'm checking the contours one more time if I have missed anything. looks like we are right there. Just adding one more petal right behind her hip line. To give that effect there. Yeah, I guess we are done with the flower as such. So now let's look at it overall, how she looks. Bringing her down. So I guess the storyline looks fairly agreeable now. So we are done with the layer 4 shading of Santhana Lakshmi painting, especially on the lotus flower and also on the clothing and such, all the equipments that she has got. So what is pending is the jewelry. We will focus on the jewelry in the next session and see how far we go with it. Once we are done with it, we'll be done with layer 4. Yeah, so layer 4 kind of defines a lot into the depth and helps us thoroughly define what exactly we are trying to say in our picture. So looking forward to having you around in the next session where we work on jewelry. Until such time, stay blessed, stay happy, stay healthy, stay motivated. Let's meet up in the next session. Bye bye.